you were at JP Morgan Chase, how are you challenging leaders at the board level, at the executive level, to understand that if you bet on Black and people of color talent, that there's a tremendous return on investment?
So it's interesting. I don't. I don't think it's my job to challenge leaders. That's the job of the leadership team. And I think we are fortunate to have an incredible chairman and CEO in Jamie Dimon. And he does the challenging, and I come up behind him and create the case.
Right.
So I think it's important, not only for JP Morgan, but for every company that's truly interested in moving the needle on diversity, that they set the environment for change. That the CEO is just not, tone at the top. We hear that line all the time. And I think it takes more than tone on the top. I think it takes challenging from the top. So when the CEO or the senior leader is out challenging the leadership team and holding them accountable for results, then someone like me can come in behind him and partner with them to teach them how to do it. And one of the things that we talked about, Jeffrey, is I feel very strongly that many leaders want to increase representation. They want an inclusive environment. They want a diverse workforce. But many people just don't know how to do it. And so my approach to the work has been collaborative education. Who are the people who want to know? If you want to know, I'm here to teach. But if you don't want to know, that's for the chairman to deal with you, not me.
And that's an accountability factor.
Absolutely.
I think one of the things that we can lift up to spread across all corporations is that you have to have a committed leader at the top.
Absolutely.
You have to have diversity as a core value.
Right.
And more importantly, you have to have an accountability factor. So there's one thing to value something, but it's another thing to put that into action and operationalize that from an accountability standpoint.
That's right. And I think let's just stick on the point of CEO commitment.
Yeah.
I call it senior leader commitment because it takes more than just one woman or one guy sitting at the top of the organization. Anybody who's sitting in a senior leadership position can drive a commitment to diversity within the organization. But then I also think that it's more than just people knowing you have a commitment, but it is your follow-up. So at JP Morgan Chase, you won't go into a meeting and not have someone diverse sitting around the table and not be called on it.
Right.
And by the way, that happens with our board as well.
Absolutely.
The board walks into a meeting and there's no diversity. The first conversation is, okay, before we get into the main meat of the conversation, like, what are you doing to advance diversity within your organization? Following up with, you hired 50 people in your business this year and none of them were diverse. So what's up with that? So
Right.
commitment is not just saying that you believe in diversity. Commitment is asking the questions, probing, because what people see is important to the senior leader, that's what becomes important to them.
Right.
Does that make sense?
And that them is all the way down to that frontline manager and that hiring,
Absolutely.
recruiting manager.
Absolutely. And then when you pull the thread even further on that, on how do you hold people accountable, there are a lot of companies out there winning awards around diversity, but they don't have black and brown diversity.
Right.
So most of those companies have aggregated. Some of them are not even looking at their data. If they're winning awards, they probably are, though. And when they're winning awards, more often than not, women and Asians are organically driving the growth in the population. But when you start to disaggregate data, Blacks and Hispanics, mostly Blacks, are left behind at the bottom of the rung, and typically Hispanics are just above them. And so I say, CEO commitment in action and intentionality is number one, but disaggregation of the data is number two.